The chamber of the Galactic Council was so vast that voices echoed for several seconds before fading. Hundreds of alien delegates filled the tiers, their different shapes and colors glowing under the cold white lights. Some had scales, some had fur, others floated in shimmering energy shells. They were all here for one reason, Earth. At the center, on a raised platform, stood the envoys of the Vorth Dominion. They were tall, armored in plates of black metal, with eyes like molten gold. The leader of their delegation stepped forward. His voice carried a tone of command, one used to being obeyed. "Humans," he began, scanning the crowd as if daring anyone to speak. "You have been granted a choice. Bow to the Dominion. Submit your worlds, your fleets, and your resources. In return, we will allow your species to survive. Refuse." He let the word hang in the air. "And your kind will be erased from the stars." Many delegates turned to watch the human representative. They expected fear, stammering, maybe, even desperate begging. Instead, the man from Earth simply stood still, hands clasped behind his back. His name was Ambassador Kane. His suit was plain, dark gray, without the glittering decorations worn by alien envoys. His face was unreadable, his eyes steady. The silence stretched. The Vorth leader frowned, unused to such defiance. "Do you understand the gravity of your situation, human?" he demanded. Kane tilted his head slightly, as if considering the question. Then he spoke in a calm, almost casual tone. "I understand perfectly." He took a step forward. The sound of his shoes against the marble floor sharpened the stillness. "But I have only one question for you." The alien commander's golden eyes narrowed. "Speak."
"Aye, sir,"
Kane said slowly. "That you want our answer?" A ripple of confusion passed through the chamber. The words were simple, but there was something about the way he said them, like a man holding back a storm. Some of the older delegates shifted uncomfortably. They had heard whispers about humanity, rumors buried in history. The Vorth leader laughed, the sound echoing harshly. "Do not play games, human. Your fleet is weak. Your worlds are scattered. Give your answer now." Kane's gaze moved across. The sea of alien faces, many of them curious, others smirking. "Earth has always been quiet," he said. "We do not interfere. We do not provoke. But quiet does not mean helpless." His voice lowered, forcing the chamber to lean in to hear. "We have protocols, and once they are activated, they cannot be undone." The Vorth leader waved a claw dismissively. Empty threats. Without another word, Kane raised his wrist. A small metallic device was strapped to it, no bigger than a watch. He pressed a single button, far away, beyond charted space. In a region known only in human records as the Black Zone, something stirred. In the darkness between stars, a faint hum began. It was not the hum of a beacon, it was deeper, older, like a voice awakening from centuries of silence. Back in the chamber, the device on Kane's wrist gave a soft beep. He smiled, the first expression he had shown all day. "What have you done?" the Vorth leader demanded. "I've sent our answer," Kane replied simply. On a mining station at the edge of the galaxy, an old Terran signal flared to life. Operators froze as they read the code. It was a Vanguard recall order. Such a code had not been seen in over 300 years. Across human colonies, veterans of ancient wars dropped everything, eyes wide with disbelief. Civilian ships changed course. Old war vaults, thought sealed forever, opened their armored doors. Somewhere in deep space, shadows began to move vast shapes. Larger than any ship in the current era, their hulls scarred by battles fought before many civilizations had learned to fly. Inside the council chamber, alien delegates started whispering urgently to one another. Some recognized the tone of the signal. Some remembered the stories told in hushed voices how humans had fought the precursor swarm to the brink of extinction, how they had vanished afterward, leaving only scattered colonies. The Vorth leader tried to hide his unease. "You are bluffing," he said. "No such fleet exists." Kane looked at him as if pitying his ignorance. "The Vanguard sleeps," he said. "It sleeps until the day humanity is threatened with extinction. That day is today."
"Which one of the
Smaller alien envoys, a creature covered in blue feathers, leaned toward her neighbor. "If this is true," she whispered, "the Vorth have doomed us all." The chamber's giant screens flickered suddenly, displaying an incoming transmission from an observation outpost. Out. It had been added red within red ribbit self man and red of the back and was swimming with him of was the ribbon percent system the summon A silhouette the size of a small moon glided past the stars, its engines glowing with a cold white fire. The hull bore the faded emblem of the Terran Vanguardia soared through a burning star. Gasps and shouts erupted across the room. Even the Vorth leader took an involuntary step back. Kane looked at him one last time. "You demanded." "We bow," he said. "Instead, we rise." The council chamber's alarms began to sound as more signals were detected, dozens and hundreds, all moving toward the Vorth border. Kane turned and walked calmly toward the exit, leaving chaos behind. The sound of his footsteps echoed through the hall, each one like a drumbeat announcing something unstoppable, far beyond the council's reach. In the depths of space, the first Vanguard warship opened its eyes. Its weapon ports glowed faintly, like the embers of a long-dead fire reigniting. And then, with a burst of impossible speed, it began its journey toward the heart of the galaxy. The message was clear. Humanity's answer had been sent-handed. It was already too late to take it back. The mining station Farwatch drifted in silence at the edge of known space. Its crew was small, only 30 people, and most shifts passed without a single ship passing by. The void out here was black, endless, and empty. But on this day, the emptiness changed. Technician Ral was half asleep at his console when his screen flashed red. At first, he thought it was a malfunction out here. Scanners sometimes picked up ghost signals from cosmic radiation. But then, the alert repeated, not random static. A code. Ral leaned closer, frowning. The pattern of the transmission was sharp, deliberate. He checked the timestamp and froze. It wasn't just a normal signal, it was ancient. "Control room to command," Ral said into his cum, his voice shaking. "We have an incoming human signal, encryption class Vanguard." The room went silent. Vanguard encryption had not been used for over 3 centuries. It was the kind of code taught in history lessons, not used in real life. Everyone knew the story is how the Terran Vanguard fleet had vanished after the last Great War, taking with them weapons that could destroy entire armadas in minutes. Captain Saren, a lean, sharp-eyed woman, hurried into the room. "Show me," she ordered. The screen displayed a short, repeating pulse. Sigma Black recall order. It was simple, direct, and terrifying. "Unitaman, every surviving Vanguard warship to active duty." "How far is the source?" Saren asked. RAL swallowed. "It's impossible to say. It's bouncing through FTL relays faster than I can track. But it's everywhere now." And he was right. Within hours, the signals spread across the galaxy, leaping from human colony to human colony. Old veterans in dusty bars stopped mid-drink. When they heard the code through hidden implants, civilian freighters quietly changed course without explanation. In forgotten asteroid bases, automated doors rumbled open, revealing hangars filled with dormant war machines. The aliens noticed. 2. In the Shervan Confederacy, intelligence officers sent urgent reports to their leaders. Human Vanguard recall, signal detected, possible large-scale mobilization. In the heart of the Vorth Dominion, the Chancellor himself was informed. He dismissed it as old human posturing, but deep inside he ordered more fleets to assemble. If the humans had truly awakened something, he wanted to crush it quickly, but there was one problem no one could find the source of the signal. Every attempt to trace it failed. It was like chasing shadows in the void. Meanwhile, in a region of space the Council had labeled uncharted and dangerous, a shape emerged from darkness. It was enormous, its hull black as night except for faded markings in human script. Dust and ice clung to its surface. But its engines began to burn with a pale white glow on a listening post nearby. Two alien operators watched their monitors in disbelief. "That's not possible," one whispered. "That ship is over 2 kilometers long." The other's voice was shaky. "And it's moving toward the Vorth border." Back in the Galactic Council chamber, Kane sat quietly, drinking water. While chaos unfolded around him, delegates argued in panic about the meaning of the signal. Some demanded sanctions against Earth, others whispered about old alliances. Kane said nothing. A Shirvan diplomat finally turned to him. "Ambassador, what is this signal? What have you done?" Kane looked at her calmly. "I told you," he said. "You wanted our answer, and now you're hearing it." Far out in the black, more shadows began to move, some small, some massive enough to blot out stars. Each one bore the same symbol, a sword through a burning star. The vanguard had begun to wake, and when they were fully awake, nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The news spread faster than any ship could fly. Across the galaxy, the words were the same. The Terran vanguard is moving. No one knew how many ships had awakened, or from where they had come, but every day brought a new sighting. On the edge of the Keller expanse, traders swore they saw 3 massive human warships crossing the star lanes without escorts. They moved in perfect formation, their dark hulls glinting faintly in the starlight, silent as predators. In the fractured territories of the Orlan Syndicate, smugglers reported that old human listening posts, thought abandoned for centuries, were now broadcasting encrypted orders. The Vorth Dominion dismissed these as rumors. But inside their war councils, their admirals argued in low voices. The destruction of the small recon fleets sent toward Earth was no longer deniable. Entire crews had vanished, leaving only drifting, gutted hulls. In the Galactic Council, tension thickened like smoke. He'd still attended every meeting, but he spoke little. He watched. He listened. And when others spoke of peace or negotiation, he only smiled faintly. So they were discussing the weather instead of a coming war. Behind the scenes, human fleets were gathering in places no alien dared to go. The vanguard didn't assemble in well-known starports. They met in forgotten battlefields, like asteroid belts, and dead systems where the wreckage of ancient wars still floated in silence. One such meeting took place in the Wraith Nebula. Within its swirling clouds, hundreds of human ships formed a silent armada. Some were sleek and new, but others were relics behemoths from a forgotten age, their weapons still deadly. As they aligned for warp, the hum of their engines made the very nebula tremble. Among the alien races, fear began to grow. Many species had always seen humans as dangerous in theory, but seeing them act, seeing them prepare, was something else. Entirely, whispers spread in diplomatic halls. They do not fight wars to win. They fight wars to erase the enemy. It will not stop until the threat is gone. One council aide dared to ask Kane directly, "How far will your people go?" The reply was soft, almost kind, "Till we are sure our children's children can sleep without fear." While the council debated, another image shook the galaxy. A surveillance drone at the Vorth border captured blurry footage of a vessel unlike anything in service today. It was the size of a city, its hull bristling with weapon emplacements. Its engines burned so bright they outshone the nearby sun. The feed cut off seconds later. The drone was gone. When the footage reached the council chamber, silence fell. Delegates stared at the frozen last frame, the glowing engines. Faint human emblem, and no one could deny it any longer. The Terran vanguard was not a myth. It was here. And it was coming. In the quiet after the meeting, Kane stood alone by a window, watching the stars beyond the station's shield. He knew the storm was only beginning. The Vorth had asked for humanity's submission. They would see what humanity's refusal truly meant. Somewhere in the black between stars, the city-sized warship changed course. Its heading was clear straight. For the heart of Vorth space, the Vorth Dominion had never lost a battle to a single enemy fleet. They had crushed rebellions, destroyed pirate armadas, and burned worlds that dared to defy them. To them, the idea of human warships was a joke, a ghost story told by weaker species. That belief ended in less than 15 minutes. The city-sized human vessel spotted at the border was given a target designation, Object Sigma 1. Vorth. High Command dispatched 200 warships to intercept at battlecruisers, carriers, destroyers, each one armed with the Dominion's most advanced weapons. The intercept fleet found Sigma 1 near the dead star of Krylos 9. Its hull was black. Against the void, silent, unmoving. No transmissions, no signs of life. To the Vorth commanders, it looked abandoned, just an empty relic. Admiral Drex of the Vorth gave the order, approach and disable. We will tow it back to Vorth Prime for study. The first wave of ships moved in. Then, without warning, the human ship's engines flared to life. Massive panels along its sides slid open, revealing weapons no one in the current age had ever seen: long glowing barrels, rotating missile banks, and what looked like endless rows of rail cannons. The Vorth fleet locked weapons, preparing to fire. The humans fired first. There was no warning shot, no attempt to communicate. A single beam of white light cut through space and split the lead Vorth cruiser in half. The halves drifted apart, glowing from the heat before exploding. Seconds later, missiles streaked outward, silent, invisible to most scanners until they struck. Entire destroyer squadrons vanished in bursts of light. Vorth carriers tried to launch fighters, but the hangars were targeted before they could open. It was surgical, merciless, and unstoppable. Panic spread across Vorthcom channels. Shields are useless. Shields are useless. They're targeting our engines. Break formation. Break. The human ship didn't chase them. It didn't need to. Every Vorth ship in range was destroyed in under 5 minutes. The few that tried to flee found their warp drives disabled by precision strikes. They drifted, powerless, waiting for the final blow. But the humans didn't finish them. Not yet. Instead, they transmitted one short message to the survivors: go home. When the crippled ships limped back to Vorth space, they carried with them more than just the story of their defeat. They carried fear. One survivor, a young Vorth officer, ignored orders to stay silent. He sent an open broadcast to every major news network in the galaxy. They are not fighting to win. His voice trembled. They are fighting to end us. In the Galactic Council chamber, the recording was played on the main screen. Many delegates refused to believe it. Others sat in pale, silent horror. Kane said nothing, but his faint smile returned. Far from any watching eyes, deep in human-controlled space, more Vanguard ships awoke. And each one was heading toward the same destination, the Vorth homeworld. In the quiet hours of the night cycle, the Galactic Council chamber was nearly empty. Only a handful of aides and guards remained, their footsteps echoing in the vast space. Ambassador Kane stood alone at the center, staring at the holographic map above the main table. Red markers showed Vorth space, green for allied worlds. Slowly, white markers began to appear: Vanguard ships. Each day, there were more. Behind him, a voice spoke. I've heard the old stories. I never believed them. It was Lyra Vess, a senior diplomat from the Euron Republic, one of humanity's oldest allies. Her voice was low, almost reverent. Kane didn't turn. Most thought they were just myths. That was the point. Lyra stepped closer. Tell me, Kane, what are they really? For a long moment, Kane said nothing. Then he began to speak, not as a diplomat, but as a man remembering something heavy. Centuries ago, before most of these empires existed, humanity fought the precursor swarm. A war so vast it burned half the galaxy. The Vanguard was created for one purpose: end the war, no matter the cost. Lyra frowned. I thought the swarm was destroyed. They were, Kane said, but not before they forced us to the edge of extinction. The Vanguard fought battles no one should survive. Entire worlds were burned. He did things. His voice trailed off. Things that cannot be undone. She studied him, and after the war, they swore an oath, Kane replied. The Vanguard would sleep hidden, forgotten until the day humanity was again threatened with total annihilation. And now, Kane finally looked at her. His eyes were steady, but there was no warmth in them. Now they are awake. Across the galaxy, the Vorth Dominion prepared its counterstrike. The Chancellor himself ordered the largest fleet in Dominion history to gather thousands of ships. The plan was simple: invade Earth before the Vanguard could assemble. The galaxy watched in tense silence as the fleet began its journey toward Sol. But when the Vorth Armada arrived, expecting to see human warships defending their homeworld, they found nothing. No fleets, no orbital defenses, no transmissions. Earth floated silently in space, its blue oceans and white clouds undisturbed. It was as if humanity had abandoned it. Confused, the Vorth moved into orbit. Some joked over the coms, others suspected a trap. But their scans showed no ships nearby. Then, one by one, their scanners began to fail. In the blackness beyond the planet's far side, massive shapes, uncloaked human warships, hundreds of them, arranged in a perfect ring around the Vorth fleet. Their weapons were already charged. From the largest ship, a single transmission went out. No threats, no negotiations. Just 2 words: welcome home. The trap had closed. For a moment, the Vorth fleet held its position in stunned silence. The black shapes surrounding them were not ordinary warships. They were giants, some older than the Dominion itself, their hulls scarred from wars that no one alive remembered. Every ship bore the same insignia: a sword through a burning star. The Terran Vanguard, inside the Vorth flagship. Admiral Drek stared at his displays in disbelief. They were here. The whole time he muttered, "Orders, sir." One of his officers asked, voice tight with panic. Drex hesitated. Retreat was impossible. Warp drives needed minutes to charge, and the humans were already within weapons range. Hacking would be suicide, but doing nothing would mean death all the same. On the lead Vanguard ship, the bridge was silent except for the hum of its weapon systems. Commander Juno Vale, her expression cold as steel, studied the formation of Vorth vessels. She didn't see an enemy fleet. She saw a list of targets. "Lock every weapon," she ordered. "Engage on my mark." The Vorth tried to open a channel. The humans didn't answer. Then, without warning, the first strike came. Railgun slugs the size of shuttles tore through Vorth cruisers in seconds. Missiles with shifting, adaptive warheads bypassed shields as if they weren't there. Laser arrays cut through carriers, slicing them open like paper. The Vorth fired back desperately, but their shots struck empty space. Human ships moved with impossible precision, their formations shifting as if they were one single machine. Every attack was calculated. Every shot hit something vital. Within 3 minutes, half the Vorth fleet was gone. The survivors tried to break through the human ring, but the moment they moved, cloaked ships waiting in reserve appeared, blocking every escape. It was as if the humans had planned each movement before the Vorth had even arrived. On the Vorth flagship, alarms blared. "Shields at 20%. Engineering is gone. We've lost the port batteries." Drex's voice broke as he gave his last order: "Send surrender signals." The humans didn't respond to that either. They simply stopped firing. The Vanguard ships held position, surrounding the shattered Vorth fleet in total silence. Then, from Commander Vale's ship, a single transmission was sent to the Galactic Council. It was Kane's voice, calm, unshaken. "The answer to your demand is no." Attached to the message was one more set of data, the exact coordinates of the Vorth homeworld. In the council chamber, the message was played in full. The reaction was instant. Delegates shouted, argued, or sat in frozen horror. Everyone knew what those coordinates meant. The humans weren't finished. They were just getting started. The journey to Vorth Prime was not a chase. It was a march. Vanguard didn't rush. They didn't hide. Their ships moved steadily through the stars, a wall of black steel and cold fire that no one dared to approach. Every system along their path told the same story. The first were the Vorth outposts, military. Stations bristling with weapons, confident in their defenses. None lasted longer than 10 minutes. After each battle, there were no wrecks left. No survivors drifting in escape pods, just silence, as if the outpost had never existed. Then came the supply hubs and shipyards. The humans didn't occupy them. They destroyed them from a distance, detonating fuel depots and cracking space docks in half before moving on. They weren't conquering, they were erasing. News of the march spread ahead of the fleet like a storm warning. Entire alien civilizations that had supported the Vorth's ultimatum began to reconsider their loyalties. Some sent envoys to Earth, begging for peace. Others surrendered outright before the humans even arrived. One small empire, the Torelli Combine, sent a single message to the vanguard: "We did not fire upon your people. Will you pass us by?" The reply was cold and simple: "Stay out of our way." In the Galactic Council, chaos reigned. Delegates shouted over one another, accusing the Vorth of starting a war that might destroy them all. Some called for a joint fleet to stop the humans, but no one volunteered ships. No one wanted to be in the path of the vanguard. Kane attended every meeting, silent as always. On the day before the humans reached Vorth Prime, he finally spoke. "You demanded we kneel," he said to the entire chamber. "Now you will watch them kneel." Meanwhile, above Vorth Prime, the home fleet prepared for the final defense. It was the largest force the Dominion had ever assembled: thousands of ships, orbital cannons, planetary shields. The Vorth believed their homeworld was untouchable. That belief lasted until the humans arrived. The first Vanguard ships emerged from warp in perfect formation, their black holes blotting out the stars. Behind them came more and more, until the entire sky over Vorth Prime was filled with human warships. The Vorth Chancellor watched from his palace balcony as alarms screamed across the city. The night sky burned with re-entry trails from the first human dropships entering the atmosphere. The invasion had begun. The sky over Vorth Prime was on fire. Thousands of human dropships rained down from orbit, their engines glowing white-hot. Below, the Vorth defenders scrambled, their anti-orbital batteries firing blindly, their fleets trying desperately to intercept what they could. But every attack was predicted, every movement countered, every plan anticipated. From the bridge of the largest Vanguard ship, Commander Juno Vale observed silently. The humans didn't celebrate. They didn't gloat. They simply moved with perfect precision, as if the destruction around them was routine. On the planet's surface, cities were spared unless they housed military forces. Orbital weapons were neutralized first, then the fleets, then the fortresses. By nightfall, Vorth Prime's armies were broken, its commanders either dead or in hiding. In the council chamber far away, a single transmission played on all screens. Kane's calm voice resonated through every sector. "You demanded we bow. You demanded our submission. You have watched your fleets fall. You have seen your city's defenses crumble. And now you know the answer." Attached to the message was a file, not of weapons, not of threats, but of lists, names of every species. Every council member, every empire that had supported the ultimatum against Earth. The meaning was clear. Humans remembered everything, but Kane's voice did not scream vengeance. It was measured, almost cold. "We do not occupy, do not enslave. We do not kill without cause. But know this: we will return if the galaxy ever dares to threaten our children again." And then, as suddenly as they had arrived, the Vanguard ships began to vanish. Warp engines flared, leaving empty skies and silent seas. Vorth Prime was left in ruins, its fleet destroyed, its leaders humiliated, its people alive but trembling. The council was left to pick up the pieces. They debated, they argued, they blamed one another, but no one could deny the truth. Humanity had answered, and the answer had sent shivers through every corner of the galaxy, far beyond. In deep, uncharted space, the Vanguard returned to their slumber, their ships scattered to distant systems, cloaked and waiting. The signal of their presence remained, faint but undeniable. A warning echoing across the stars, "Do not wake us again." And with that, the galaxy understood something it had never believed. Humans were not just strong, humans were unstoppable. The ultimatum had been answered, the lesson had been delivered. And no empire would ever forget the day Earth's reply sent shivers across the stars.